Discover how you can green your life by building a knowledge base of current sustainable and eco-savvy trends. This series will delve into hot topics, current standards and practices, ways to design better spaces, and specify materials that benefit not only us as consumers, but the world as a whole. Members of CaraGreen, as sustainable materials distributors, and other industry leaders weigh in throughout the series. This is Build Green, Live Green. Hi, this is Jessica with Build Green, Live Green, and today we are here with Doug Barlett from EzoBord. He is the CEO of the company. Hi, Doug.
Hi, Jessica. How are you today?
I'm good. So it's great to have you on. Happy New Year. I think we're just getting to the end of when you have to keep saying that.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me today. I'm looking forward to it, and it's nice to get a launch like this into the new year.
Yes, I agree. So tell us a little bit about EzoBord, kind of how you founded it. What got you interested in this product category?
Well, our company has been involved in product design and development for commercial spaces for many years, since 2005. So we had been developing products in that area for all those years, and around 2008, we could see that there was going to be a need for acoustic design-driven treatments in offices as it all went to open plan. So there's a lot of history about that transition from conventional office space and the way things were laid out with furniture into the new style of open plan, which led to us getting involved in that area. And so that was a very early stage of kind of the acoustics industry as it relates to the commercial providers that would be selling furniture, wall systems, that kind of thing. So it was very early on. The brand was founded in 2010, but we had actually started working in that area in 2008.
Okay. And so can you talk a little bit about what EzoBord is as a product, what it's made out of, and how it's kind of, evolved from this idea of addressing acoustics within an office space to actually almost being like a design tool now?
Sure. The base material itself is actually derived from plastic water bottles and it in fact is about typically around 60% recycled content. It's referred to in the recycling industry as PET plastic, of which there's different types of PET, but anyways, it comes from recycled water bottles. One good thing about that is that recycling that type of plastic is low energy use. It's one of the more efficient raw materials or post-consumer materials, rather, that can be recycled efficiently. And that means less energy in terms of electricity, no wastewater. So it's a very important material for recycling for that reason. But another really important reason is that the degradation period of a plastic water bottle in the environment is super long. They estimated that between 700 and 1,000 years. So we have to do something about this. So that's the base material. There's more to learn about how it gets turned into a semi-rigid EzoBord sheet. There's several steps in the process. Quite interesting for those that take an interest in that kind of thing. But it's that kind of material. The other thing I'll mention in terms of acoustics, why it works well, is that because it's all laid up very fine fibers of different lengths that actually create the acoustic characteristics of the material. Because it's a non-woven, meaning that fibers are all laid up in many different directions, creating kind of all kinds of multitude of kind of sound traps, if you really want to call it that. It's excellent at slowing down sound energy passing through the material.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, so almost kind of like insulation in the sense that the fibers are all kind of intertwined.
It does work that way. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's also, the timing of the open office plan was, it was kind of a design community thing, but your product introduction sort of intersected with, this real big push towards sustainability. So those two things together were kind of like the perfect storm for this product category and for EzoBord as an acoustic panel.
That's correct. Yep. Both those things happen to be converging around the same time. I am originally from the office furniture business, so I saw it happen firsthand because in the earlier part of my career, back in the 90s and early 2000s, I was heavily involved in fitting up entire office buildings with partition systems, like cubicle systems, government
Yep.
jobs, and all kinds of things.
Yep.
And in those days, those systems actually had good acoustical performance because they had insulated materials, sound
Right.
insulated materials inside literally 2-inch thick partitions,
Right.
right?
Right.
When that all and so highly efficient acoustic performance, and then you had drop ceilings, which all went away as well at the
Yep.
same time as those
Yep.
workstations went away, and then all of a sudden there was nothing on the floor either. The carpet started going away too, so there
Right.
was nothing left to absorb sound, virtually nothing, and it happened in a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, well, at the same time, too, come from our perspective, not the furniture side, but on the design side, there was also this, this dated look to these kind of fabric wrapped panels and
Hmm.
these, the Armstrong ACT ceiling, and people were
Hmm.
looking for something different too. So again, the perfect storm for this product category at a time when, people were also starting to gravitate towards kind of whites and grays, which I know, we can talk about colors, but you guys have those
Hmm.
whites and grays, and now you're seeing this shift back towards colors,
Hmm.
which you guys also have. And again, I really, I really think of EzoBord as kind of an acoustic design tool that you guys offer people.
Yeah, we've taken it several steps farther, as you know, our conversations about what we've done in terms of our vertical integration steps to start making our raw materials in North America with North American fibers and so on. And we put a lot of time and investment in that direction. And we had decided to do that, before COVID. And so
Mm-hmm.
going back to kind of like 2018, we were front runners in this industry in a way.
Yeah.
So early on, as I was explaining, but again, we're kind of casting forward and saying, okay, there's a lot of strengths about this material and what it can do and how it can get done. The weakness that I could see was in the supply chain
Yes.
and limitations on versatility in terms of material thickness, performance, and let's talk about color, right?
Yeah.
What can you do? Because color is important. And
Well, and I think
and
it's important. I think it's important to know industry wide that there are a lot of people in the acoustic panel space, but what we're talking about here are really the areas where EzoBoard differentiates. Anyone can
mm-hmm,
source, a 4x8 panel and cut it into different shapes, but you
mm-hmm,
guys aren't just, you're not just saying I have office dividers and I have ceiling baffles and I have wall panels and I have tiles and I have, intricate, these complex systems, but you're
mm-hmm.
saying, I can do more. I can take that raw panel and other core materials and, really bring them to life with different materials.
Well, it's a really interesting study that and we at the EzoBoard we love to continue to learn. We put a lot of time and energy into R&D, and that is a
Mm-hmm.
undeniable fact.
Mm-hmm.
And so that relates to fiber combinations and layers. As you know, we have the program called Ezo Layers, which is literally,
Yep.
as it's described, it's layers of material, all made out of the same content for the most part. Although you can have different surfaces if you want of a decorative nature. We test for that,
Right.
but it's interesting because they all affect acoustic performance in sometimes surprising ways that you wouldn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's counterintuitive. Sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
would think the more density you put into a panel, let's say, like you're trying to make a 1-inch panel. Let's say you're doing that
Right.
and we're making that for you. You have a project and you kind of have an idea what you want to do.
Yep.
So, so sometimes if you increase the amount of, you make the panel more dense by adding more fiber and different types of
Mm-hmm.
maybe fiber, sometimes it goes the other way where the acoustic performance actually goes down as opposed to up. So that's kind
Is
of
that because there's
counterintuitive.
less? Is that because there's less air to kind of trap in there? Or?
In part, yes, that's correct. There's a tipping
Okay.
point, you see. Like there's a point of diminishing
Diminishing
return.
returns. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these things you don't
Right.
really know until you actually go there with that and make that panel and test it, and then you learn, oh, that didn't work, and you go
Yeah, and
back
you
and you
guys have
say,
done all the yeah, and you guys have done extensive testing on all of your materials,
have to.
and I
You,
think
mhm.
yeah. I mean, you can't, that's where the kind of the rubber meets the road. I think in this industry is the people that have done the testing and have that kind of proof. In your case, you've got some patented systems
Mhm.
that take these systems even further, making not just easier for the designers to specify these materials that are exactly what they need, but also it's easier for the installers to install your materials.
Well, that's right. So because we took the vertical integration step, meaning that we're making all the raw materials, then it means now that we're going right from the fiber state, like as I was describing, right through to the end product. And we understand the behavior and performance each each step of the way. And that's a very interesting process to follow. And we bring all that to the table on projects with our clients and working with our partners like CaraGreen. I mean, half of the time we spend is in educating our partners and our customers on what works for them, what won't, and things that relate to the combinations of all things I just mentioned, because all of it comes to play in the end result.
Yeah, and I think what I love about EzoBoard's acoustic systems and panels, well, several things, but one of the things I like is the ability to work with you to find the right solution for the customer, whether it's based on the area they have to do it in, or whether it's based on the budget they have
Mm-hmm.
to get an acoustic system. Because sometimes someone may want something incredibly elaborate, but EzoBoard will work with them to find something that meets their budget. It may, be just kind of a pared down version, or it may just be a better layout that saves them money by using less material.
That's right. And I would add to that probably 75% or maybe even a bit more of the project work that we do is custom in one way or
Mm-hmm.
another, whether it's from the raw material based on the performance required, but then going through to the building space that it happens to be going into, whether it's on the ceiling or on the wall. We're always dealing with all these custom applications, which we invite. We like that, and we have teams set up for it. So from our R&D team in the material, they interact directly with our end product designers and engineers, and that's an excellent flow. That
Yeah.
that really differentiates us from any of the competition out there virtually. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's right from A to Z.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think, that's a differentiator. I think, the US and Canada based sourcing is a differentiator. And
Mhm.
then another big one you mentioned is the ESO layers. And I think it would be great if you could just kind of point the audience towards that tool, because I think it's important that designers understand that you have
Mhm.
this tool that you can go specify the color you want on one side, the color you want on the other side, and the core material you want to use and how thick you want it. So it's taking beyond just this pre-dyed panel that everyone else
Mhm.
offers, and you're allowing them to choose the colors. You can have it be, pink on this side and pink on this side, or you can have
Mhm.
it be red on one side and green on the other. And sometimes, they like to have that one visual approach from one direction and a visual approach from the other direction. And there's not a lot of ways to do that outside of laminating maybe two pre-dyed panels together. You guys can do that and allow them to fully customize.
Yeah, so that's a very good point, and it is a very important tool. We call it the configurator. It's always referred to. It's on EzoBord.com on the website. You go to materials, and then you click on materials in the main menu, and then it will lead you to that configurator. And so then it's really kind of I guess you could say it's an augmented reality sample builder.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes you through the steps to build the sample, and you have this kind of avatar sample sitting there that you can spin around. And as you go through the specification steps, which they really are, because you're
Mm-hmm.
specifying the color you want on side one, you're
Yep.
specifying what you want for the core material, both by thickness and by acoustic performance and by color on the
Yep.
core. And then you'll
Yep.
go to side two and you say, okay, and then you're going to flip the sample around and have a look at it. Okay, do I need something on side two? It's going on the wall. Maybe you don't. But if it's being hung from a ceiling and you want decorative colors, be it 1 or 2 or whatever,
Yeah.
then you're going to have a look at that. At that point, when you finish that exercise, you're going to hit submit, and then after putting in your ship to information and some basic information, then at that point you get an email with that order. It goes to our sample production team and literally is made for you at that time. And it's
Yeah,
a really
that's
good
fantastic.
process, and it really helps. And I'm really happy to have made that investment, because it not only is important to what we do and what we can offer, but it's nice to see the volume pick up, because we just
Yep.
launched it sometime last year, really, and
Yep.
now I can see, because I see that stuff coming through, and
Yes.
I like to
Yep.
watch it because it's building.
I know you're like me. I am like the gatekeeper for all new things. I want to see all the data right up front so I can gauge, the success of it. It's really important.
Yes,
Another investment that you made that I think is unique to you guys is your virtual showroom. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of point us to that as well?
sure. Um, Well, we felt and certainly learned during COVID that we needed more powerful engagement with clients, with what I was just talking about in terms of what we can bring to the table right from the beginning, right through to the end product. So we're all, we're visual, we're in the design business. There is the acoustic performance is very important, and we're working on tools to make that easier to understand in a space too. But certainly visual design is a visual business in many, many ways. And so we felt that it was important to express what we're doing in the most compelling way. And virtual reality is something that we, obviously this trend had started a while
Mhm.
ago, and we felt it would be important for us to get involved in that. And it was largely because we come up with custom ideas, custom solutions that can fit in different spaces, but each space would be almost unique. So the first step in that is to express in a way that is very almost tangible, even though it's virtual, to bring them into a showroom space and have a look at the material. What's above me? How does it look from this angle? How does it look from that angle? And then understand what that product does. And so the virtual
I think
showroom allowed us to do that. So our entire product offering, as it stands today, with new products coming in, is in a 15,000 square foot virtual showroom. You can tour the whole thing, including a virtual resource library for all the new colors.
is that on your website?
Yeah, sorry, yes, it's right on the homepage. We
Okay.
first had it by
And then
appointment only, as you know, and that was fine because we
yeah.
had to get it out to our customers first and our reps. But now it's open to the public, and we welcome anybody to go in and tour around. So
Okay. And I just want to remind everyone the EzoBord is EZOBORD
that's
.com.
right. That's right. Yeah.
Um,
So it's you scroll
so
down the homepage a bit, and you can go right into the showroom and tour around. The little arrows will take you around and have a nice
yeah, so
tour.
you guys have you guys have the core, acoustic panel that everyone else has, and then you've just supplemented it, with this customization capability. You also have the wood grain. Can't forget about that. And you've got some
Mm-hmm.
really cool new designs coming that I'm not sure how much you can talk about that, but I'm really excited to see those roll out this year.
Mm-hmm.
After
Yep.
along with the
2023. Mm-hmm.
yeah, the Sunset collection that just came out,
Mm-hmm.
or is coming out. And then I did want to, before we wrap up here, I did want to mention industrial solutions. So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people think about these colorful acoustic panels and these 9 millimeter, 12 millimeter panels, and that you don't really expect to see that hanging in an Amazon warehouse or in an industrial setting, but those places also have a lot of acoustic problems, right? You've got this
Mm-hmm.
machinery going and boxes and tape and all of this stuff happening and a lot of people in there. And again, these are like concrete boxes. So can you talk
Mm-hmm.
about acoustic and industrial acoustic solutions?
Yes, it's certainly a big part of the market, and it's interesting because as we got into thicker, more high performance acoustical materials that we could produce ourselves, we kind of became aware of that is a, I don't want to say a sub industry, but certainly a subcategory of the acoustics business, and a very important one in terms of volume. Um, what's interesting to see is that it is performance driven more so than design driven. So, and performance goes for sound absorption characteristics, like in terms of NRC value, and it's up there. It's usually minimum zero point 0.8, and usually they're aiming at somewhere between 0.9 NRC and 1 NRC, which is very high performance. And then the thickness of these materials tends to be 1 inch or 2 inch thick, and typically going direct to the ceiling surface up on a concrete deck or a metal ceiling. Um, and those are nice projects. And we've developed some proprietary solutions through our discoveries in our R&D on acoustics based on the layers program in general. What works well with what, and how do you combine it together to get to those values? And that's been interesting. So that's a big part of our go forward, certainly in 2023 and beyond. And we're involved in some very large projects right now. Had we not been had made the decision on our vertical integration step, we would still be in the same kind of level in a way with the competitors. They're just importing 3/8 and half-inch thick sheets, and they can't. They're not in that game. Let's say it like that. We are,
Yeah.
and we're going to be going more into that on the industrial side. It's very important.
Yeah, because that industrial side is just going to grow as you get, more of this kind of fulfillment. We want everything just in time. So, that's only going to grow. And I think, part of our job this year too is to draw attention to that industrial acoustics category and help grow it.
And using the word industrial is maybe one way to categorize it, but we don't necessarily want to just pigeonhole it like that, because what's interesting, we have there's some jobs that have come up where we've been specified. They're going into commercial environments. Like I can think of one large one that's coming up that is a bank. It's their headquarters, and they
you're talking about the 1 to 2 inch kind of core material, right?
Going direct to a concrete deck because the architect had designed this, and they're going to leave the concrete deck. So it's not design driven; it's performance driven, and they want the material just kind of disappear up in the deck, right? Yep. So it's a very specific blend of gray fiber and white fiber and some black fiber to create a kind of a concrete melange appearance. So you want it to disappear and just do its job silently, literally.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense too. So you also, a lot of people think, of these acoustics products as being this decorative and functional thing, which is great, but you also have this, this blends in, so you can keep your open floor plan if you want it, or exposed deck as you're describing it, and then incorporate acoustics without visually drawing your attention to them.
That's right.
So you do have plenty of design driven options, but it's nice that you have strictly performance driven ones as well.
That's exactly right. Well put.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I want to redirect our listeners to EzoBord.com, EzoBord.com. Check out the configurator. Check out the virtual showroom. And then, Doug, thank you so much for coming on. And I will talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks for having me on, Jessica. And we'll talk to you soon.